Welcome to Common Cup. I'm Jim Gear, your host. Common Cup is a program about programs, projects, and special people in our area, and we have a very special subject today and some special guests. I have Dr. John Kay and Art Friends. Dr. Kay has been known by some as being the co-founder of ICL, and Art serves as promotion for the organization. And I want to talk about what this means and the contribution that ICL makes to our community. The first thing I want to ask is, what does ICL mean? Now, this is located at Young Harris College.
Right.
Okay.
So ICL is the acronym for Institute for Continuing Learning at Young Harris College.
Okay.
And really the association between the Institute and the college is something that is very important to us, and we certainly want to address that later.
Would you share with us a little bit how this began? And okay.
Yes. Back in the 1980s, at the college we were hosting a number of the elder hostel programs on campus. Yes. Every summer we had several of the programs, and I was responsible for coordinating those programs. Now, Elder Hostel, of course, people are familiar with it. I think it's a non-profit organization that is internationally known. They are in all 50 states,
yes, sir,
and they are in 150 countries, between 7,000 and 8,000 programs worldwide. So we were trying to accommodate people who were interested in coming into the mountain area here and enjoying the environment while also learning, and because that's what the Elder Hostel is all about, is providing enrichment courses of various kinds, yes, that will enable people to remain learners all of their lives. Well, during this period, there was a lady in the community whose name was Frances Evans, and I had asked her to help me with those programs, and she became a kind of live-in liaison. She lived with those persons in the dorms where we had housed them when they were on campus. And we had a number of people locally who participated in those programs, yes, sir, on a commuting basis too. Frances got the idea that because there was so much interest locally in those kinds of enrichment courses, that we ought to just come up with some plan to provide those kinds of opportunities year-round. Mm-hmm. So she began to talk to me about that, and I agreed with her that this was a good idea. And then I learned about the Elder Hostel Institute Network, which was a branch of the Elder Hostel organization that was initiating what we call ILRs, Institutes for Learning in Retirement, and these were cropping up all over the country at that time. It was relatively new, sort of in the infancy stage, and they were sponsoring a conference down in Orlando, Florida. I got permission from Dr. Farley, the president of the college, to go down and attend the conference and learn what I could about the chances of that being the sort of thing we would want to utilize for our situation. So I went down, and sure enough, I came away convinced that this was something that would work for our mountain area. And that was in the spring of 1990. That fall, with Frances's cooperation, we put an article in the paper inviting people to come to hear Jim Verschuren, who was the director of that institute. And he came and talked to us. There were about 50 people who showed up, and out of that meeting, the Institute for Continuing Learning at Young Harris College, yes, came into being.
Would you amplify just a little bit of the relationship between ICL and the college itself?
Well, yes, that's been.
These are not credit.
No, they are non-credit type courses.
Yes, sir.
We call them enrichment courses.
Okay.
And the whole concept of ILRs is that the people who have become senior citizens, and in our case, of course, you don't have to be yet a senior citizen to participate.
Our case.
But at any rate, you want to continue
Yes, sir.
to broaden your horizons intellectually, and so there are so many subjects that you find fascinating and alluring, and so you would love to have the opportunity to learn about this and that, and also hands-on kinds of things too, that people can avail themselves of in the process of learning. So
a lot of these organizations refer to them as LLI, Lifelong Learning Institutes, and
Yes.
you don't have to be a retired person. You know.
That's right.
It's just so happens that the retired people have more time available during the day because our classes are held during the day. But I think of it as a lifelong learning institute.
And in our unique setting, there are people with a lot of ability and knowledge. They contribute from time to time to the program as sharing the things that they have really come to become, I wouldn't say professional, or experts, but have some really contributions to learning in many different areas and subjects. And I assume that there's a variety of subjects that will be offered, which we'll talk about in a little bit later. The relationship between the program and the college is very unique. That in this setting, this is something that is under the shadow of the campus.
right. And the college was happy to accommodate this, and I must say that all the presidents at Young Harris from the time we began in 1991 up until the present time have been very, very supportive of ICL. And one of the reasons for that is that if you look at the stated purpose of the college, one of their purposes is to provide educational opportunities for persons living in the area, not just students who are, coming for course credit. So this was just an ideal situation for them.
This has been one of the unique contributions of Young Harris College to the area, and will continue to be as they begin to grow with their expansion. We need to take a short break, and we'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Common Cup. I have as my guest Dr. John Kay and Art Franz. We're talking about ICL, and we're talking about the classes that are offered through the seasons. Would you speak about that for a moment?
Well, it's a completely volunteer organization, and we have teachers that volunteer from various parts of life. We have some college professor, we have some retired teachers, anybody that has some knowledge of something and experience that they want to share with our classes. There's quite a range of classes from history, writing, art, drawing, airplanes, World War II airplanes. You never know what to expect. And each term, we offer 4 terms a year. Each term we have a different curriculum. So some classes may get repeated each time, but most of them are brand new classes.
And the order, there is like a quarter?
Quarterly, up to 8 weeks long.
Right.
We meet 2 hours a week, 1 day a week for 2 hours, and it can be from 2 to 8 weeks in length.
And again, the contribution that the college makes, you have space available. And so what would be the average enrollment, and kind of a history of the response that you've had through the years?
Okay. I would say we average about 14 to 15 classes each quarter.
Yes, sir.
And the average attendance is probably about 20 students per class. Now we have some that are as little as 8 or 10, and some that are 30 or more. In fact, this past term we had to turn away some registrations because too many people signed up.
As I said, the space is available. I think some of the classes, a larger presentations have been in the chapel there
Absolutely.
on campus.
The college has given us a classroom that we can use under normal circumstances that accommodates 35 people.
Right.
But we've had a few classes that were much larger enrollments
Yes.
that we had to meet in the Wilson Lecture Hall,
Yes.
like an auditorium. It's a very nice venue.
And the average enrollment, is the subject matter, say, one subject at a time or several offered at a time?
Well, in each course, it's usually one subject. For instance, and another venue we used is the planetarium.
Okay.
Steve Martin offered a class in the planetarium, and it was about 4 weeks long. I took it, and through that, I learned how to use the telescope that my son gave me.
Yes.
Never learned how to use it.
Right. Let me ask you about some of the more particulars. Do you join ICL? Do you have a membership?
Yes, there's an annual membership. It's $25 to belong to the ICL for 1 year.
Okay.
And then classes, it depends on the length of the class, but they go from $7 to $20 per class.
Right. And again, there is a newsletter that's provided.
We put out course announcements in the form of a bulletin. It comes out 4 times a year. It's usually 3 to 4 weeks before the term begins, so people can see what's going to be offered. And then we offer a general meeting, which we do previews. The instructors are invited to do a 3-minute overview of their classes, and so people can see what they're getting into before they sign up.
Let me ask you, if someone believes that maybe they have something to offer, to be an instructor, to be a guide in a particular subject, how is that handled?
Well, they can contact the registrar, and I'll give you that number later, or they can send us an email, or they can contact the curriculum chair, and we make up a matrix and start preparing our curriculum for each quarter, weeks in advance.
And if you're interested in becoming a member, participating in some way, how does an individual do that? Do you have a
I can give you the phone number if you like.
Okay. And we'll repeat this again before we're through.
Sure. 706-379-5194. That's the phone number to the registrar's office. Or you can email us to icl@yhc.edu. Okay. And we have a website that's iclyhc.org. There's contact information there, and phone numbers and emails.
You spoke about elder hostel. We're talking about people continuing their growth and learning in later years. Is there an age limit?
No.
Open to any age group?
No, any age group. Usually it's 18 or above.
Right.
It's usually more senior type citizens, but it's open.
Could you elaborate a little bit about the subjects? What are some subjects that you've covered?
One of my favorite classes is offered by Jerry Taylor, retired history teacher.
Yes.
And he just offered 2 sessions of that this term. It's called Making Tracks.
Okay.
And the first one I took, it was 4 weeks in length, and each week we would go to a different arena. For instance, 1 week, one of my favorites is we went to the gold mines in Dahlonega.
Okay.
And so there's about 30 of us going down this dark, wet shaft and looking for pieces of gold and trying to hear what's going on. And Jerry says, okay, and right above us, about 60 feet, is the Walmart parking lot. But it was a very active gold mine in its time. And so that's one of the classes, the telescope, the planetarium class. We did one this last summer called Zentangle.
Okay.
Zentangle, and it has to do with drawings. Okay, but there's no rules. It's kind of like, I think of it as organized doodling, but you repeat patterns, and you in each quadrant of the image, and then you put them together, and you can color them or you can just leave them in black and white. But it's a release for your mind. You get so involved in this, you're not aware of what's going on and how time goes by, and it's something that's been around since 2005, so it's relatively new. And there's going to be another course of that offered in the fall.
Very interesting.
Yeah. One of the things I might mention is that over the years we've tried to maintain a kind of balance between more academic type courses.
Yes, sir.
With various themes or topics, and some hands-on type courses. Bridge has been a popular course, hiking, a number with field trips involved. So we tried to maintain a pretty good balance at that point.
I think you meant wildflowers in the area.
Wildflower rambling.
Very popular.
They're all field trips, and the instructor will take you through the woods and point out flowers and tell you about them and what they're good for, and so on and so forth. And it's quite interesting.
We'll need to take another break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
Welcome back to Common Cup. I'm Jim Gear. We have as our guest Dr. John Kay and Art Friends. We're talking about the Institute for Continual Learning, ICL. And the thing I'd like for you to share with us just for a moment has to do with a committee that reviews the potential subject for each year hence. Would you speak about that for a moment?
Yes, the curriculum committee, it's about a half a dozen people, and we put together a matrix, and we contact previous instructors about repeat courses, maybe new courses, and we're constantly soliciting new people and new ideas to be a part of our curriculum, and then we put together a schedule.
Yes,
and so it's a group effort, but it's different each time, and quite a lot of interesting subjects.
And I just wanted to comment that over the many years that we've been in existence, I would credit this committee with much of the success of the Institute.
Yes.
The leadership has just been outstanding, and the committee members have worked hard and have just done a fantastic job of rounding up good course leaders throughout all these years.
Yes, sir. Would you just again elaborate some of the subjects that meant something to you, something you participated in? And Dr. Kay, you taught a few yourself.
I have.
Okay.
Well, of course, my field was religion and philosophy at the college,
Yes,
and so a lot of my courses have been related. I've taught several times a course on Islam, and I taught a course on Eastern religions, and I've taught ethics, and I've led some courses utilizing video programs from the teaching company,
Yes,
it's called, and those have gone over well. The History of Freedom was one of those. And once I led a course on great quotations, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and everybody enjoyed that because we had people bringing in quotations that they found to be instructive or humorous or something of that sort, and we talked about them, and it was really a fascinating and enjoyable experience.
Another course that I took recently was called Advertising, 1900 to Present. And again, it's not just retired people. Some active professionals come in and teach, and this lady taught about advertising back to the early 1900s and how it went through radio and TV and ended up with the amount of money they spent on the recent presidential election. It's like tens of billions of dollars, you know, just promoting the candidate for the election.
We have courses in, we've had a lot of courses in music, and that seems to be very appealing to a number of people. And health and fitness.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that sometimes we offer seminars, they're called. Maybe it'll be on a Saturday, one-day seminar featuring some of the health professionals who will come in and share information relative to health and fitness. So.
An interesting class that I attended part of was how to identify a tree in the winter when there's no leaves. It's very detailed, the structure and where the limbs are parallel or offset and the buds, and it's just things I had no idea about. It was so interesting though, and especially in this area where you have so many different tree types. But in the winter, they all look the same.
Photography, I guess.
Yes, that's a very hot topic, the photography, and we just offered one on genealogy. So many people here are interested in genealogy. It was an 8-week course, and very well done.
Let me ask you again, those watching, those who'd like to participate, you have a newsletter available. You have meetings of the group. How can someone who's interested and become involved, how can they do that?
Again, I would use one of those contacts that we had, the phone number,
Yes.
which is 706-379-5194 for class information, registrations, or they can email us at ICL at yhc.edu, or they can go to our website, which is iclyhc.org.
And the season, quote unquote, has already begun. You've already began the new season, or
we're doing a preview for the summer quote on June 15th at the Young Harris College. Okay, it's an overview of the classes that are coming, and the classes in the summer are only 6 weeks long.
Okay.
But then in the fall we start in September with another 8-week session. So there's 4 each year: summer, fall, winter, and spring.
I can't tell you how glad I'm to have you here and share this with us. There's much more that we could talk about the program, and it's been in existence now for a number of years.
23 years.
Make people aware that it's available.
We appreciate the opportunity,
yes,
Jim,
sir.
to do this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I hope that you watching will participate in this program and inquire, and also make suggestions as some subjects that you would be interested in, and be a part of this very unique program for our area. And I hope that this year's season will be more successful than before on a variety of subjects.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for being with us today, and I'm glad that you joined us too. And I'm Jim Gear, your host.